Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning, stretch, and get ready to go about your normal routine. But something feels incredibly off. The air is just way too still. You walk over, look out your window, and there is absolutely nobody out there. No cars rolling down the street, zero voices echoing from the sidewalks, no distant phones ringing. The entire world has gone completely, utterly silent. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to explore a really mind-bending scenario based on some incredibly fascinating source material. The day the world went silent.
So this brings us to a massive, mind-bending question. What if every single human just disappeared? I want you to really try and visualize this for a second. Think about your bustling neighborhood, your crowded morning commute, the sheer, overwhelming volume of humanity you interact with every single day. Now erase all of it in an instant. Just empty streets and total silence. No warning whatsoever. No time to prepare. Just a sudden, complete absence of humanity.
But actually, let me clarify something. We aren't talking about a permanent vanishing act here. For the scope of this explainer, we're looking at a very specific exact window of time. 24 hours. For the next 24 hours, every single person on Earth has completely vanished. So what would actually happen in that specific window? Well, the answer is a whole lot more terrifying than you might think.
Right now, the normal world we live in is defined by constant motion, right? We've got moving cars, ringing phones, bustling voices everywhere. We are so incredibly used to this constant hum of activity that we totally forget how much of our world requires our constant active participation just to keep it running safely. On the flip side, you have the silent world. Empty streets, utter silence, and absolutely zero movement. It becomes crystal clear almost instantly how quickly the illusion of control we have of our environment just completely shatters the very second we're removed from the equation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Phase 1, the first few minutes.
You might think a sudden disappearance would just mean everything pauses, kind of like hitting pause on a movie. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The world is in motion, and suddenly the drivers are just gone. The loss of control is rapid, it's violent, and it is absolute.
Within literally just a few minutes, the sheer scale of the chaos becomes completely unimaginable. Millions of cars, buses, and trains are suddenly left completely driverless while hurtling down highways and tracks at full speed. Vehicles would collide instantly. And what about the sky? Airplanes don't just stop midair. While a lot of modern planes use autopilot and would technically keep flying for a bit, they're essentially flying time bombs. Sooner or later, without any human intervention, those planes are going to run out of fuel and they are going to crash. The sheer destruction across the globe within these first few minutes is just staggering to think about.
But amidst all of that crazy physical destruction, this weird phantom world continues on. Because our modern infrastructure is so heavily automated, things like power plants and the internet would actually stay online. Well, for now at least. Your favorite websites, your social media feeds, they'd still be perfectly online and functioning, humming along, even though there is absolutely nobody left on Earth to look at them.
Moving on to Phase 2, hours without humanity. As the first few hours tick by, the massive fires from all those initial crashes begin to burn themselves out, and the world starts to settle into this deep, incredibly unsettling decay. The cities themselves begin to change, fundamentally transforming without us there to manage them. Now, what's really interesting about the slide is the wild juxtaposition happening everywhere between the mechanical world and the biological world. Out on the streets, automated traffic lights are just diligently switching from red to green, directing phantom traffic for absolutely no one. Meanwhile, places like factories and hospitals experience a complete halt in production and just fall into total silence. But the real tragedy here is biological. Inside our homes, trapped pets are waiting by the door for owners who are never going to arrive. And over at the zoos, the situation quickly gets highly volatile. Without their scheduled feedings, hungry animals begin to panic, making those enclosures incredibly dangerous.
And right as that biological panic really starts setting in, something else begins to happen. Nature sees an opening and slowly begins taking over. Without humans aggressively maintaining our manicured spaces, weeds would start cracking through the concrete in a matter of hours. The strict boundaries we built would start to blur, and those wild animals we normally keep at bay, without the loud noises and the constant threat of humanity, they'd start wandering right into our empty cities without a single ounce of fear, totally reclaiming the concrete.
Which brings us to Phase 3, when night falls. As darkness blankets the earth,
We are going to see the inevitable, total collapse of those automated systems we thought we could just leave running on autopilot.
So automated power plants run without human input for a while, sure, but machines aren't invincible. They require constant supervision. Small errors pop up, and they compound, pressures build up, and without engineers there to jump in and fix those minor hiccups, widespread electricity and grid failure becomes totally inevitable. The machines need us just as much as we need them.
Which leads us to this incredibly chilling reality. Entire cities that once glowed with millions of lights, these massive beacons of human achievement that you can literally see from space, would become darker than ever before. We're talking a total, all-encompassing darkness, a world entirely, 100% devoid of human light.
And then we hit Phase 4, the chaotic return.
The absolute silence continues to stretch out, until finally, we hit that exact 24-hour mark, the very second the silence breaks.
I mean, just imagine it. In a split second, every single human suddenly returns to Earth, standing in the exact spot they left off. But the world they are returning to, it is absolutely not the one they left. They reappear into an absolute nightmare. Thousands of planes have dropped from the sky. Entire power systems are severely, perhaps even irreparably damaged from running without maintenance. Those pitch-dark cities are instantly plunged into total, blinding chaos as billions of confused, terrified people pop back into a completely broken world. The world is technically still standing, sure, but life as we knew it would never, ever be the same again.
It leaves us with this staggering realization directly from the source material. One single day without humans would permanently change our planet. It is truly wild to think about. Just 24 hours of absence is literally enough to permanently scar our modern, deeply interconnected world. It just highlights how incredibly fragile our systems really are underneath it all, and how much the Earth actually relies on our constant, delicate balancing act just to maintain the everyday status quo.
So, I want to leave you all with this final provocative thought. Would the Earth survive better without humans, or would humans survive without each other? It's a really fascinating paradox, isn't it? The Earth would eventually heal and completely reclaim our cities, for sure, but our human-made world would instantly destroy itself without us there to hold it together. Think about where you personally fit into this massive, fragile puzzle. I'd love to know your answer to this question. And hey, if you enjoyed this explainer, make sure to follow along for more structured, mind-blowing dives into fascinating topics, exactly like this one.